On your cue, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Then we will call this special meeting of County Council to order on February 23rd, 2021. Would everybody please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge of allegiance
Allegiance
With
to the
allegiance
flag
flag
of the United
United
States of America
America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
stands
one
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 nation,
nation
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and
and
justice
justice
for all.
for all.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Showerman, would you like to lead us in the optional prayer this evening?
It's more of an inspiration. It says your past does not determine who you are. Your past prepares you for who you are to become.
Thank you. At this moment of the meeting, we have a hearing of the public. Anybody who calls in and gets on the agenda receives 5 minutes. For today's meeting, we had no one that has called in. So if you are on the meeting, you have 3 minutes. So are there any citizens that wish to be heard?
Councilman, if this is an appropriate time, I'm happy to make a brief
Okay.
remark.
Thank you, Amy. And I don't have my timer in here, but please go ahead.
I'll be very, very brief. Just wanted to, first of all, Amy Murdoch from the Erie Regional Chamber. I think you all know me. I'm the one that bugs you from the chamber all of the time to try to tell you about the work that we're doing. But just wanted to attend today and say thanks for your support. And so this particular fund that's on your agenda today, this is something that we, as a chamber and some of our local businesses advocated to our state delegation to try to get out of the bureaucracy and onto the streets as soon as possible. And so really just wanted to today thank you for your support and considering this. I know every decision you weigh very, very closely. So just wanted to say thank you. We're really looking forward to having this money on the streets for our business community. Certainly our hospitality industry particularly is really, really struggling. We're seeing more and more businesses close. Probably, I would say, last time I checked, we were looking at a 28%, closure in small businesses in the region. So the sooner we can get this money on the street, the better. Just want to say thank you for all of your efforts for taking the time to consider this measure. So thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Are there any other citizens to be heard? Are there any other citizens to be heard? And one last time, any other citizens to be heard? Seeing none, we'll move on with our meeting. Mr. Sparber, do you have any reports from the county executive or the administration?
Not tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sparber. Previous to this meeting, we do not have a finance or personnel meeting, so we will not have reports from either of those chairpersons. Are there any other council members that wish to bring a report forward this evening? Okay, seeing none. On our agenda item for tonight for our special business meeting, we have ordinance number 13 of 2021. Mr. Smith, could we have a reading of ordinance 13 in title only, please?
Ordinance number 13, 2021, assignation of an administrator for COVID-19 hospitality industry recovery program. I'm sorry, sir, did you say in its entirety?
No, just in title only.
Okay.
I said, yeah, thank you.
So move.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
Second.
Yeah, I heard you. We have the ordinance 13 moved by Councilwoman Clear, seconded by Councilman Horton. Is there any discussion or questions from members of council? Councilwoman Clear, did you have a?
I was going to ask for this to be considered to be moved to a second. I don't know if I'm doing that right in this right order.
We did it, didn't we do a first reading at the
We did.
last?
Okay.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
this would be a second reading then,
This is the
correct?
second. Okay, I apologize. I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Let's just make sure from Mr. Smith.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
that's correct. This is a second.
Okay.
It does, however, need to be amended to add a administrator and a rate.
Okay, was that not included in the exhibit?
It is not. When this meeting was scheduled, there was still some question as to what the possibilities might be. So it just needs to be filled in with a name and a rate.
Okay, thank you. So with that being said, Tina, could you give us the exact title as, will it be the Erie County Redevelopment Authority and then the rate per application?
The ordinance should go to the Enterprise Development Center of Erie County. And the rate will be $400 per application.
Thank you for that.
Sure.
Do
Carl, I
we-
have just a real quick question. We skipped roll call. Does that matter?
Oh, no, we should do a roll call vote for the meeting before we take the vote. Thank you, Ellen.
Shall I call the roll now?
Yes, Mr. Smith, and this would be for a roll call vote for attendance, not for the motion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mrs. Clear,
Here.
Mr. Horton,
Here.
Mr. Rastetter,
Here.
Mrs. Rennie,
Here.
Mrs. Showerman,
Here,
Mr. Shank,
Here.
Mr. Anderson.
Here. Thank you for catching that, Ellen. Otherwise, we may not have been able to properly vote.
We wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here without being here.
Right.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, and now we're looking for a motion to amend and the language as presented.
Chairman Anderson.
Yeah, Councilman Shank.
Yes, sir. I do have just a point of clarification. Being kind of sort of really new to all this $400 per application, just a point of clarification on that for me, please.
Yeah, so
May I
under, yeah, I'll let whoever said that, but let me state first that under the program that came out of the state, organizations are allowed to charge anywhere from $300 to $500 per application. So this is not by a percentage of the total fund. This is a per application administrative fee. And the enterprise development group said they would come in the middle at $400. That's where that number is coming from.
Gotcha. Now, who actually pays that amount? Is that deducted off the grant, or is that a fee submitted afterwards?
It's deducted off of the grant, the proceeds of the whole 3 million. So per potential grantee or applicant.
So if it's a $5,000 grant, they subtract 400. That's what you get.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I just want some clarification. You just,
Yeah,
like you
no,
said,
no,
this is-
No, the grantee, may I speak? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Tina. If it's different than that, go ahead.
Well, I'm not sure I understood. The grantee will get 5,000. They don't
Okay.
pay the 400.
Okay.
Okay, so out of the 3,055,000 and odd change, the 400 would come off that 3 million.
Okay.
So it may be just less grants received, but each grantee is not being
Exactly.
deducted.
Thank you. That was my really kind of my sticking point. I'm like, wait a minute. So every person applying for a grant gets subtracted $400 off the top. I was like, but no. Okay. Thank you. Like I said, this is all real new to all of us and us new folks. Like my dad always said, there is no dumb question. Thank you.
No, there isn't.
Yes, and Amy had a point. I think that was the point that she was going to make, but did you want to add on to that, Amy?
I was just agreeing that I read the bill and that's how it is written, that the max fee was $500. The total grant amount is reduced by the fees, not each individual grant. So what you said is correct, that there may be less grants because of the fees, but the fact that they're coming in the middle, I think is very fair.
Yeah. Thank you for typing that in, Amy. I didn't see that you had actually typed that in, but thank you.
Okay, any other questions for now? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to amend this ordinance.
Mr. Chairman,
Finance Chairwoman Clear.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to move that we change the ordinance to read the assignation of the Enterprise Development Center of Erie County for the COVID-19 Hospitality Industry Recovery Program at $400 per application. How about add a fee of $400 per application?
Thank you. We have a motion for that amendment.
I have one question before I vote on that. Is it per application or per application that's approved?
It's per application, I believe, correct?
No, we were going to charge per approved.
Okay.
Or approved. Okay.
So we have discretion for that.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay.
It doesn't clarify, it doesn't clearly say that, but that was our intent.
Okay.
We would not charge you for rejected.
Thank you.
Okay, very good.
Mr. Chair.
I want to recognize Councilman Horton, but we need a second on this motion, I think, before I can do that.
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Horton, please go ahead.
Yes, my comment is just that with all these questions surrounding, which is rather simple, our solicitor is on the line. And so I hope that the amendment will reflect certainly what Councilwoman Clear puts in there, but at least let our solicitor have the last say on even that language. We don't want a comma misplaced somewhere or period.
Mr. Chairman, I have been standing by listening to everything, and so far, so good.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Talarico. And thank you, Chairman Horton. Any other questions or comments? Okay, so we have the motion to amend by Councilwoman Clear, seconded by Councilwoman Showerman. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Smith, may we have a roll call vote on the amendment?
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Chairman Anderson.
Yes. Thank you. Any further questions or comments on ordinance 13 as amended?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Smith?
will there be a contract executed between the Enterprise Development Center and the county, or will it just be, I ask because there is mention of an exhibit in our ordinance, and if it's not a contract, then I guess it would be just in accordance with the legislation, which should be acceptable.
Chair,
Mr. Sparber, go ahead, please.
my understanding that there would be a contract or an agreement. And when I first read this, it talked about that there had to be a contract. That's the term. What I was reading, the material I received from the state said that the contract had to be signed by March 1st. So I'm assuming, yes, there has to be some kind of written agreement or contract.
I believe Tina already sent one over, didn't she? Tina, didn't you already send something?
I sent a proposal over, sir.
Okay.
I don't know if that can serve as the contract or not.
Is it something that was signable?
Yes.
Then I'm guessing it could be.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Attorney Talarico.
at the last meeting, I brought that question up. In reviewing the packet, I did not see a contract. All I saw was the letter that Tina just referred to that described the project briefly and included the rate per application. If that's going to suffice as the contract, so be it. I would imagine, though, that there'd be something more involved as a practical matter, but I can't answer that because I'm not familiar with this, with the industry in this respect that the redevelopment authority is involved in with respect to, I mean, it sounds like the enterprise development fund is a part of the redevelopment authority. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I think it's sufficient. The 2-page letter that's attached to the packet is probably sufficient to outline the terms between the county and the redevelopment authority. I don't think that there necessarily has to be any more. As far as the handling the application itself as between the enterprise development and an applicant, if there's any agreement between those two, in addition to, documents to determine the eligibility of the application, I think that there should be an agreement there, and I have not seen anything like that.
And Tina, you would develop that.
Yeah, our plan was
Yep.
to model it after the one that was done previously with, appropriate wording changes. So each grant applicant would need to sign, each grant applicant who was awarded a grant would need to sign a grant agreement. In addition to the applicant, after they fill out the online application. So, and we're happy to have a contract between the Enterprise Development Center and the county if you're more comfortable with that. I mean, we'll do whatever you want to make this meet whatever legal guidelines as well as the state's requirements, which include a after report, which we will obviously do.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sparber?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The guidance we got from CCAP talks about actually the county is responsible for the development of the application for grants with the input of the CEDO or CDFI, containing whatever documentation the county requires. So obviously we've been down this road before with Tina's organization. We will work with her to develop the grant application.
Okay, thank you. And you feel that the two-page letter that was submitted is sufficient, as Tom had suggested?
Yeah, the guidance we have is very specific, and as I said, in terms of timing and terms, so it's described in that letter. I agree with Tom. I don't think you need a lot more than that.
I agree. I mean, there's a purchasing side.
Okay, very good. Councilman Horton.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple, and now we're just going over it a little longer than we have to, because all of the stringent reporting requirements associated with the grant process are going to be adhered to and run through administration, just as a practical matter of doing things. So I'm with the 2-page thing too. It's all accountable. We have a controller. Everything's going to be well. They've done a great job.
Thank you, Councilman Horton. I think we have a hand up from, is it Miss Elder? Did you have a hand up for a comment? Or are you just waving at me?
Waving at you.
Okay. Okay, any other questions or comments? Tom, you feel satisfied with all of that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Councilwoman Clear.
You're muted, Kim.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I wanted to ask Ms. Mengine a quick question. Ms. Mengine, when will this all be rolled out? What can we expect? What can we tell everyone? This is a great program.
So we've been working on modifying the application in anticipation of this so that we could roll it out quickly. Our hope is next week. We've been inundated with phone calls, so we've been telling folks to sign up for our newsletter on our website, and then we will do an e-blast announcing it, and then with the instructions and the link. So it'll be sometime next week is our hope. I don't have an exact date yet. We're still modifying the application, and we want to make sure it passes muster, obviously. As you recall from last time, it was a learning experience. So I think we have it down pat this time. At least I hope so.
I don't feel like you guys had any problems last time, although I wasn't in the thick of it. The way
That's exactly why you don't know that.
Perfect. It was so easy, Tina.
That's true.
And then my next question is, maybe we could somehow someone can let Melissa Dixon know, and we can get something put out on the Erie County website and also on Facebook. And I would love to be able to share this. I feel like we need to start announcing it to the whole world. So.
Well, again, I want to make sure that we're ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
And I have a date.
I'll settle down. I'll settle down.
Kim's ready, man. She's ready.
I think, if I may say that, based on the response from last time, which was Hospitality Plus, I think we helped about 300 businesses, maybe it was 280 something. And then that second emergency round that the county did helped another 100 and some businesses. I think that this will go relatively quickly, I think, because we award it, it's required to be awarded on a rolling basis. So I anticipate, and I'm telling people to get their applications in early. I think it'll go fast. And I think that folks are now understanding the kind of documents that are required. So I think that I don't think the money will last till June 15th. So if people are calling any of you or you're reaching out to folks, encourage them to get their application in sooner than later.
Thank you so much, Tina.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions, Councilwoman Claire?
No, that was it.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of council? I would just like to make a couple comments before we vote. First of all, I want to thank the administration, particularly Mr. Sparber and Mr. Crane. I know that they were inundated last week with an attempt to get this out, and council had asked to slow this down a little bit. And I appreciate their guidance in doing that. I always feel that it's better to be safe on these things and make sure that we get all of the wrinkles out and have everybody have a chance to take a look at things. And in particular, I want to thank Tina Mangine from the Redevelopment Authority for being here and giving us those further explanations. I think it's important. It's important to the members of council. It's important that the public knows that we are doing our due diligence and that we're all working together to ensure the taxpayers of Erie County are getting the fiscal accountability and responsibility that we all have pledged to undertake. So I think this is, although it's difficult to get everybody together for a meeting, and I know everyone's busy schedules, I think it's important to do that. I also just want to make a comment. I want to thank Amy Murdoch and the Chamber for their continued advocacy and working with the state representative delegation to encourage this money to come back locally. Outside of the CARES money that came through Erie County, the 24 million, there was a small business program that came through CDFIs directly from the state. And there was some real confusion at times with that. There was some suspicion that maybe Erie County did not get its fair share of funding. It just left a lot of questions. And as Amy had mentioned, and what the Chamber was advocating for, to bring these funds locally and allow local organizations to be able to then disseminate these funds and get them to the businesses that are right here in the county. As I previously said, we're fortunate that the Redevelopment Authority had reorganized and reaccredited the CDFI for Erie County. So it's all of these components are critical aspects of being able to work together and move all of this forward in a positive way for all of the taxpayers. So I just want to thank everybody, and I want to thank the council members in particular for taking the extra time, and for Amy, our financial advisor, and Tom Tallarico, our solicitor, for always adding their input and looking at the details for the members of council. So with that said, Mr. Clerk, may we have a roll call vote on ordinance 13 as amended?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I think we should have a first and separate vote on the amendment itself.
Oh.
And then,
Did you
vote on
finish
the
Okay, thank you. Yeah. We should vote. We didn't finish the vote, the amendment vote?
Yeah,
Mr.
we should
Smith?
vote on, we should vote on that first, and then vote on the vote on the ordinance as amended.
Is that correct, Mr. Smith?
We did actually complete the vote.
I thought we voted on the amendment. So this is voting as amended.
I don't believe so. There was a first and a second on the original, and then there was a motion to amend. And the council's been discussing the motion to amend.
We did.
And really hasn't voted on the amendment or the underlying ordinance.
I agree. I don't think
Mr.
that-
Smith?
Well, I have a vote here of 7 yeas for an amendment to ordinance 13. It was made by Mrs. Clear and a second by Mrs. Showerman.
Correct. That was on the
And
amendment.
it was quite a while ago, so
We went back through some discussion after we voted on the amendment. Before we were gonna vote as amended.
my friend Tom is right, but we did get that.
Okay, so we're ready to vote as amended? Is that accurate?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Smith? Okay, so may we have a roll call vote on ordinance 13 as amended?
Mr. Horton,
Yes.
Mr. Rastetter,
Yes.
Mrs. Rennie,
Yes.
Mrs. Showerman,
Yes.
Mr. Shank,
Yes.
Mrs. Clear,
Yes.
Chairman Anderson.
Yes. Okay, thank you. And Mr. Sparber, then you and the administration and the redevelopment authority will get the contracts ready and everything set, and then you'll inform council of when you're ready to roll out that program, I take it.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, absolutely.
thank you to all of you for that. Our next finance and personnel meeting is this Thursday, February 25th at 4 p.m. The Zoom coordinates, I think were sent today, and anyone else that needs to have them can request them or get them on the website. And if there's no other business to come before council, I would ask for an adjournment.
So moved.
Okay, thank you. Meeting adjourned. Thanks
Thank
so
you
much.
all.
Night,
So long,
everyone.
everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks.
Good luck with that, team.